Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 2 of our F1 2021 mod career mode, obviously with the Alpine Formula 1 team. Obviously if you guys missed out on the video that went live on Monday, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out. We sort of explain the series and of course we dive in to the Bahrain Grand Prix, the first race of the new World Championship. But yeah, heading though to the Spanish Grand Prix today, again a massive thank you for the continued support obviously on the channel. You know, the first video from this series did really well, but like I said, if you missed out, I would definitely recommend going back and making sure you watch it before we dive into this one today. But yeah, let's dive in then, round 2 of the season here for the Spanish Grand Prix. So here we are then, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix qualifying session, round 2 of the World Championship. It feels a bit weird to say Spain is round 2 of the season, but hopefully, yeah, we can have a good weekend nonetheless. Obviously, last time out, we had a really good race. Qualifying pace wasn't quite as good, but of course, this is as well our teammate Fernando Alonso's home Grand Prix, so I'm sure he's going to be trying to give it absolutely everything this weekend. He had the better of us in qualifying in the first race. Hopefully, we can try and get better. You know, we can go one apiece this weekend, perhaps. Obviously, like I said, the race pace for ourselves was really good, so very happy with that as we head into the Spanish GP this weekend. Obviously, a much more higher downforce circuit, though, so it'll be interesting to see how everyone fares. Obviously, maybe a couple of cars will come on a little bit stronger this time out. Maybe a couple of people as well, of course, will fall down the order just a bit. But let's dive in, then, here to the Spanish Grand Prix. Hopefully, like I said, we can try and get a good hooked-up qualifying lap to start the weekend off strong there. Sebastian Vettel seems very quick as we head down in towards the first corner, but it is Hamilton who is obviously looking to try and equal out Max Verstappen's pole from the last weekend there as we head through turn 3. First time round, completely flat out in most Formula 1 cars nowadays with great ease as well, even in race trim a whole lot more often there as we head out of the first sector. Not been too bad, but hasn't been too good either as we head down the hill. Just obviously don't quite have the same ability to push to the absolute limit like you get in a few of the other cars. And obviously qualifying very important here. Not quite the same as like Monaco, for example. Obviously you have got the huge front straight to try and make some moves work in the Grand Prix if you need to. But as we head out through the infamous turn 9 there, down in towards the second half of the lap, or the final sector even I should say. That was not a particularly good line through there. It hasn't been a particularly great lap from us so far. Just lacked trying to get the front end exactly where I need it. As we head in towards the final few corners, though, very wide. Down in towards the final chicane. Keep it nice and tidy. A lot of curb on the exit there as well. That has been a horrible run through the final couple of corners, though. Up towards the start-finish line. It's only going to be 13th place on the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix there, so not what we wanted at all. So there we go. Hamilton does get the second pole position of the year then, ahead of Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas. Their sights again going quicker than Sergio Perez in 4th and 5th there ahead of Charles Leclerc. Unfortunately, yeah, the Alpine doesn't look as strong this weekend. Down in 9th for our teammate Fernando Alonso there was not as good as last weekend. And then myself all the way down in 13th place ahead of fellow Frenchman Pierre Gasly there. Is, yeah, not quite what we wanted to be in an AlphaTauri sandwich, but of course, a long race ahead of us tomorrow. Hopefully, obviously, the race pace once again can come in strong, and maybe, just maybe, we can try and get ourselves back up inside the points. So here we are then, just moments away from the start of round 2 of the season here from the Spanish Grand Prix. A tricky 2.8 mile circuit of 16 corners awaits us in the Catalonia region then. Always been a bit of a weird track for myself, the Barcelona circuit. Sometimes it's not a track that I particularly enjoy driving, but the pace around here has always been pretty good nonetheless, so hopefully that form can continue here today. Qualifying, as you saw, was not the best result in the world, I'll be honest, but again, with the huge run down towards turn 1, overtakes are still possible around a track that, yeah, had that front straight not existed, it would be even more of a snooze fest, and it normally tends to end up being nonetheless in the world of Formula 1. Obviously a track that really tests the aerodynamics. It's normally a good indicator of what to expect next weekend now at the Monaco Grand Prix circuit as well, which obviously for me, I'm much more looking forward to than the Spanish GP here today. But still 17 laps we've got to navigate. Hopefully, like we said, we can try and get a few more points on the board after the good opening round of the World Championship. There are a couple of interesting results after qualifying yesterday, and of course we'll have a run through the entire grid as we get ready for round 2 of the season. And here from the Spanish Grand Prix, this time around it's Lewis Hamilton who gets his first pole position of the year there, but it is Max Verstappen who joins him on the front row, half a tenth separating those two once again. Bottas in 3rd ahead of Carlos Sainz in at P4 there. A good result by the Ferrari man there ahead of Perez and Charles Leclerc there. Vettel, Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso and Stroll around 8 top 10 ahead of Lando Norris, Tsunoda, and then myself, Esteban Ocon P13 ahead of Gasly, Raikkonen, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, Antonio Giovinazzi, and then Latifi and Russell round out your grid up there. Going to be a tough weekend for Williams at the rear of the field. Obviously, again, not a track that really suits their car. But let's dive in then here, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. So here we are then, ready on the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix, round 2 of the World Championship. And yeah, hopefully today we can have another good, solid showing then. You can see 17 laps ahead of us though. We're going to go a little bit more aggressive on the fuel this time around. Obviously, you can't use as much rich revs around the Spanish Grand Prix circuit, but I'm also tempted. Do we gamble the alternate strap? I'm really thinking we do. We may as well just try it in this Grand Prix there. Obviously, it means if we're quick towards the end of the race, there aren't many cars behind us that should be able to get past us. I mean, we've really only got the AlphaTauri of Gasly and then the back markers. So, theoretically, this could work out alright for us. I'm going to gamble it. If we get a safety car, we're probably very much screwed. Obviously, if it's early enough in the race. But yeah, let's dive in then here for round 2 of the season from the Spanish Grand Prix. Down in 13th place on the grid is 5 red lights. And it is going to be a very long hold, but it's finally lights out. And away we go, off to a fairly okay start as we head down in towards turn 1. They're actually not the best start in the world as we head down in towards the first corner. We'll have to be brave on the brakes around the outside of a couple of people if we can. And we have just about found the room through turn 1 and turn 2. They're up 1 spot around Yuki Tsunoda off the start of the Grand Prix there. Schumacher's got a good start as well, up to 14th place. As we head down in towards Sector 2 there's a big 3-wide moment between Charles Leclerc, Perez, and I think Carlos Sainz was trying to get in there as well. As Lando Norris really trying to defend hard from me. Someone sent it. Yuki Tsunoda straight back up the inside as we head down the hill there. Clearly wanted to take any opportunity he can do at the start of this race as well there. But yeah, an interesting little start to the Spanish Grand Prix. Very, very hectic. Very, very, well, difficult just to try and keep the front wing clean. Never mind anything else off the start of the Grand Prix. Can we have a look up the inside of Lando Norris? Don't really want to get up the inside of Stroll as well there. Yes, we can. So up at 11th then, as we head in towards the final sector of lap 1. Not a bad start at all. We're trying to look around the outside of Lance Stroll there. He gives us the room around the outside, but no, not quite able to get the power down on the exit of the corner there. That was one of those weird moments where you sort of just find yourself on the outside of a car in a corner where you weren't really intending to be there. He was just a bit slower than we thought he would be. As we head back down in towards Sector 3, it is Hamilton who still leads the way, but it is Max Verstappen who's keeping the pressure on. Obviously, Verstappen got the race win, but not the fastest lap last weekend, so I'm sure he wants to do, well, I mean, if he could win, he would, quite happily. But of course, Spain, yeah, not the easiest track to overtake on. Already feel like we're starting to get stuck in a bit of a DRS train, just like we saw last weekend for a brief period between ourselves, the Ferraris, and I think it was Sergio Perez as well, of course, wasn't it, in the first weekend of the year. But hopefully it's not quite going to be the same here, as that was not a good line in through the final corner there. We're still hovering, obviously, just outside the top 10 at the moment, but we have got to remember we are on these mediums. I had almost forgot about that at this stage of the day there, so we're still in a good position. Early on, obviously, we're going to have a lot more pace towards the end of the Grand Prix, if we can keep hold of these tyres and keep them in good nick. Oh my god, Lance Stroll's engine's definitely gone up in a big way there. As we reach the top of the hill, that was a massive explosion for Lance Stroll, and he's going to be out of the Spanish Grand Prix on just lap 4 here. I mean, it elevates us up into the points. Certainly one less car for us now to have to navigate, but poor old Stroll and Aston Martin out of the Spanish Grand Prix. Only problem with that now is the fact that Stroll dropping out has left us a bit defenceless to Lando Norris behind, who's going to have a look up the inside in towards turn 1. We'll give him the room, but luckily, I think now the tyres are pretty much even in terms of grip, as Lando still trying to have a look through on turn 4 there. That would have been a very, very brave move from the young McLaren driver there, but not able to hook it up. He's really starting to see the crossover form in this Grand Prix. Lap 6 of 17. And we are closing in on our teammate Fernando Alonso once again. We're now definitely, well, unless we make a mistake, nestled back inside the DRS. You can see how much we gain through the hairpin there on our teammate as we head back up the hill in towards the final couple of corners. Are Alpine going to play the team game here? Can't imagine it's going to be much longer before our teammate Alonso is into the pits. Of course, Carlos Sainz as well, not having the best home Grand Prix, only a couple of places further up the road, as he had both Spaniards then into the pits at the end of lap 6 there. So now we've got a bit more breathing room, and we can try and push on in this Grand Prix. Bottas and Perez as well into the pit lane. Of course, they're all going to be going on to mediums to the end of this Grand Prix there. That is good for us, and it means we can push to try and close up to Ricciardo. Coming towards the end of lap 7, I'm sure we're going to see basically everyone else into the pit lane, but we're going green this lap. We're still finding more and more time in this car at the moment. There is everyone else. Yeah, like I said, he's going to be in to the pit lane. So we are going to inherit the lead of the Grand Prix there, and for the first time ever, Alpine lead a Formula 1 Grand Prix. Max Verstappen and Hamilton, though. Verstappen's actually come back out on hards, so not too sure what's going on down at Red Bull. Bottas might be able to get a good jump on the pair of them if he comes out well there. I don't think he's quite going to be able to, but it is going to be close on pit exit. But yeah, Verstappen on hards. Surely he's not going to be able to pressure Hamilton to the end. I must admit, it is a bit weird actually going back to a midfield car. Obviously, with all the success we've had in my team in the McLaren RTG, to have the likes of Hamilton and Verstappen hunting us down and gaining so quickly does almost feel a bit alien to me. Obviously, we are going to dive into the pits at the end of this lap, so we need to make sure we get it slowed down nice and tidily on the way in. Make sure we're that side of the bollard. And into the pits we come then, here in the Spanish Grand Prix. Nice and tidy on pit entry as well. That was pretty good, if I do say so myself. Hamilton's going to re-inherit the lead of the Grand Prix, and 18.8 as well. We could look to try and set fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We weren't far off it anyway at this stage of the day. A 3.1 second stop, though, isn't all too great, rather unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully we can get out of the pit lane nice and cleanly as well. We might actually gain some places through the pit window here. Where are we going to come back out in this Grand Prix? Look at that! We've got ahead of at least Sebastian Vettel in this race. We're side by side with Ricciardo in towards turn 1 there, and we stand our ground, and we've made up spots through the pit window. I've got no idea how we did that. I completely wasn't expecting to be here as we re-emerge onto the race circuit. But yeah, now we're up into 7th place. We've got quicker rubber, fresher rubber to the end of this Grand Prix. Could we potentially try and do what we did last week and mix with the Red Bull and the Ferraris? Look at this, all over the back of Perez as well now. These tyres are graining beautifully as we head in towards the final couple of corners of lap 10. We have definitely got a golden opportunity to once again score big points here. And look at that, Perez with no DRS as well. Surely he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. So we head down towards turn 1 there. He does go defensive on us, but it's going to be too little too late, I think. So we head in towards the first corner. We've got so much more grip on these fresh softs, and we are up into 6th. Next up, Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Has recovered a bit in this race, but we're hopefully going to try and push him one place back. Oh, Verstappen sets an 18.8 at the end of lap 11 here, but can we go any quicker? As we're now all over the back of Carlos Sainz. Trying to get a good run out of the final corner. Use a bit of DRS and overtaking 18.6. There we go, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but that Ferrari is still an absolute monster down the straights as we head back down in towards turn 1. Bit of a mistake from myself. We have to line up a much bigger move than that. Really trying to use all of our overtake mode as we head out of the final corner. Back to start lap 13 of the Grand Prix, and this time around we're a whole lot closer to Carlos Sainz, but we're still not quite going to be close enough. As we head down towards turn 1, we have got to remember that we have still got a big advantage through this first sector of the lap, so we can try and use a bit of overtake. No, huge wash of understeering, I should say, out of the first corner. And again, we just need to get right under his gearbox as we head through the final few corners, and then use all of the overtake we've got to try and get round him. That being said, we're pretty close down the back straight. We'll have a look up the inside. Is he going to give us the room? No, he's not. Sainz having none of that down in towards sector 3 there. We tried to pull out as late as possible so we wouldn't expect it. But Sainz, a wily old fox now in the world of Formula 1. He's been here a fair old while now. I think people seem to forget just how experienced Carlos Sainz is. So we head through the final couple of corners of lap 9. Gonna have to use all the ERS once again and the overtake mode. So we head out the final corner this time around. Surely we're going to be close enough to Carlos Sainz as we head back down towards turn 1. Round the outside we go. Pretty much draining the battery. But we are now up into P5 of the Spanish Grand Prix. They're almost run wide over the curbs through turn 1 and turn 2 there. But now we've got 2 seconds up to Charles Leclerc in P4. We've got 4 laps to do it. Can we close up the gap? Oh, Hamilton's gone even faster than us. That's a bit disappointing. I think, to be honest, this strap might have been a little bit too good to be true. At the end of the day, with 3 to go, these tyres just starting to fall off a little bit. We're definitely not going to be able to apply any pressure to Charles Leclerc before the end of the Grand Prix, but we're still trying to soak it up from Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez behind us. I do still think we're slightly outdriving the car early on this season, but we've got to try and get these big results, obviously, before the upgrades start to be applied to a lot of the upper teams, you know, with a lot more money, a lot bigger budget than ourselves. But anyway, just over 2 to go. Let's see if we can hold on. My God, Sainz is really going for it. Having a look up the outside in towards turn 4. It's a brave attempt by the Spaniard, but he's kept the nose there. Look at that. He's not having any of it. We tried to hang him out to dry, and I think Sainz is going to be able to get the move back. No, as we head down the hill, he does give us the room as well there. This is brilliant racing through the middle sector of the lap. Are we going to come together? No, we just about hold on around the outside for now. Whoa, big moment as we head on to the final lap of this Spanish Grand Prix. We're going to be under a load of pressure now from Carlos Sainz. That might have just been one mistake too many towards the end of the Grand Prix. We're using all of our overtake mode as we head back down towards turn 1 there, but Sainz has pulled off the move on the final lap of this Grand Prix. We need to try and stick with him, see if we can do anything, but I just don't think the tyres have got the grip we need them to at this late stage of the day. They were still pretty strong through the middle sector of the lap. If we can try and stay close to him, I'm not going to give up on this just yet. It could be the second race in a row we've had a battle down to the flag with Carlos Sainz here. This time around, then we've got Sergio Perez still waiting in the wings, potentially trying to line up something if an opportunity, of course, does open up for him. But I think it's Hamilton looking comfortable at the front of your field here as we head round this final lap through turn 9. It's normally where we're strong, but no, nowhere near close enough to go for anything this time round on Carlos Sainz as we head down in towards the final few corners of this Grand Prix. It's going to be Hamilton just ahead of Max Verstappen there as we get all kinds of squirrely through the final few corners. Bottas is going to get P3 once more there. Charles Leclerc, he's going to come through for a very, very good P4. And as long as we don't make any other silly mistakes, it's going to be Sainz 5th, ourselves 6th, Sergio Perez 7th at the end of the day there. What I cannot believe I clicked that right at the end of the day, but we come through for P6 in the end.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So, another fantastic victory for the Silver Arrows. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. Some amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, back-to-back big points for ourselves there. Back-to-back driver of the days as well. But this time around, it is Hamilton who once again claims fastest lap, but this time gets the race victory there. Once more, though, half a second between him and Verstappen. They are going to be running each other ragged throughout the entirety of this season there. Bottas once more picks up another P3 with a good job done for Mercedes there. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz 4th and 5th. Ferrari have certainly come back looking a lot better than they did last year there. We once again make progress up into 6th place at the end of the day. They're finishing still ahead of Sergio Perez, who had another tough weekend there. Ricciardo, Vettel and Norris round out your top 10, with Alonso just missing out on points at the end of the day. Then, of course, you've got the AlphaTaurus, the Alphas, the Haas, the Williams, and then, unfortunately, Stroll, the only man not to make it to the checkered flag there. Championship-wise, though, it means Hamilton now at the top of your standings by just 2 points ahead of Max Verstappen there, courtesy, of course, of his 2 fastest laps. Bottas, of course, in P3. Sainz still in 4th there, but Charles Leclerc gets the jump on us up into 5th place. I think we could be in for a good battle with the Ferraris over the course of the year there. Sergio Perez, I'm sure, will be battling out with us as well up in 7th. Ricciardo gets the jump on Alonso, tied on 4 points apiece. Vettel and Stroll for Aston Martin tied as well with Lando Norris. And then, of course, you have just got the 4, we're going to call them the 4 backmarker cars. AlphaTauri just don't quite seem to have exactly enough at the moment, but I'm sure they will score points over the course of the year there. Mercedes 20 clear of Red Bull, though, who are actually closer to Ferrari at this stage of the year there. We're another 20 back on 22 points there. McLaren on 6, Aston on 4, and then, of course, none for AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and Williams there. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and yeah, we will be back very, very soon. With round 3, we head to the duel in the Formula 1 crown. It'll be time for the Monaco Grand Prix. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.